Hey everybody. First and foremost, Merry Christmas. All right. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Christmas Eve. Hope everybody's having a wonderful holiday season. And thank you for watching. Um, and make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. Even though this is a new channel, I hope to grow it as quickly as possible, as quickly as humanly possible. I wanted to talk about this yesterday, but just life got in the way. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it today before I go ahead and jump on DoorDash here. So earlier this week, we received news that Congress had agreed on a stimulus bill. And that bill basically included like an extension of the unemployment benefits, where you have the federal benefits that adds the extra $300. I think that's going on to March. You also got the big thing, the stimulus check was going to be $600 per person, whether you had children or not. So basically, a family of 4 gets $2,400, family of 5 gets $3,000. And that bill was not met with the positive response that everybody was hoping, or at least that Congress was hoping, right? It kind of was like, everybody looked at it as like, well, we get these scraps. And then Donald Trump comes and announces that, he's seen some things in the bill that were concerning, right? And I know a lot of people are arguing, well, that's part of the omnibus bill. If people don't know, the omnibus bill is basically kind of like the budget, like the yearly budget. So there was a 5,600 page bill, which is basically like the yearly budget of the U.S. And then within that was rolled in to the COVID relief bill. And so Donald Trump, of course, President Trump, he goes and he says, well, I don't understand why we're paying things like, so many millions of dollars to, and he named different countries, Burma, Cambodia. He said, something about Pakistan and the gender studies team and things like that. And he said, we're spending all these millions of dollars on them, and we're not helping the American people. So he basically announced that he wasn't signing off on that bill until they reworked it and basically made it where every American citizen could get $2,000 and $4,000 for couples. And a lot of people were behind that. And then today it was announced that, the House Republicans basically shut it down. Like, so the House Democrats were all for it. They were like, hey, let's go ahead and get this done, right? To Nancy Pelosi's credit, she was like, yeah, let's go ahead and get it done. $2,000 per person. Let's get it done. And the House Republicans shut it down. So I don't know if that's still going to be in the works. I don't know if there's still going to be more arguing and fighting about it. But I know that the general thing about this that is kind of upsetting and disconcerting is that, sorry, I'm playing around with my lighting here. The thing that's disconcerting is this. Our Congress is so disconnected from society, right? They're not, I don't think any of them realize what it's like to go through this coronavirus pandemic as a regular average person who works for a living. I just don't. I think that it was a mistake I know that's how the system works, but I think it's a mistake to leave the fate of millions of working Americans to people who aren't threatened by this situation at all. Like let's be honest, like they make as a base pay $174,000 a year, right? Like nobody who makes $174,000 a year is going to worry about, oh, well, how am I going to pay my rent, right? How am I going to pay my utilities that I'm behind on? How do I keep my car from being repossessed? How's my family going to eat? Like, there's a lot of people that are like trying to figure out how their family is going to eat. There's a lot of people that, Christmas is not going to be the same this year. They're not going to be able to buy all the presents and all of the, do all the decorations and things like that they usually do from year to year. There are people that are struggling. There are people that are suffering. There are people that are like me, that are kind of just looking at the train wreck happen in slow motion. And, we're doing the best we can, and we're working hard. But it's just like, it's really like a stopgap measure. And I think that even the $600 per person is nothing but a stopgap measure. And I feel like Congress is also more concerned, and I think this about both sides. This is not a Republican or a Democrat thing. This is an everybody thing. This should be an us thing. They're more concerned about being right than doing right. And that should be unacceptable. And I think one of the good things that came out of all this is that I've actually seen, for the first time since like the entire elections and all that, regardless of how you stand, where you stand on the elections, if you feel like there was election voter fraud, or if you feel like the election was legitimate, I think that this is the first time that I've seen where it's like everybody is unified on this. Like, $600 is not enough. Like, give us more. And I don't understand how we can have all of this energy towards like, oh, we're going to give millions of dollars to this country and this country and this country and this country so that people will like us. And then on the inside, and I've never really agreed with this, why don't we have the same energy towards helping the people on our side of the fence, right? Like, helping people within our own borders to get on their feet. Like, we're supposed to be the greatest, most powerful nation in the world. And I believe that. I believe that, in the history of the world, we are probably the greatest nation ever. But right now we're being treated like trash. Like, American citizens are being like, here's a bone, be happy, grin and be happy. Just be grateful that we gave you anything. And I hate this idea that, if people get a handout from the government, it's automatically socialism, right? But what do you call like us giving handouts to other countries, right? What do you call like, I think that bill had something like 1,800. I don't know if that's true or not. This is just what, this was what was said in the press conference, that there's an $1,800 stimulus for the illegals. And there's no, only 600 coming towards us, right? I also have a problem with the fact that Congress is able to vote on their raises, which I think their raise in total spanned out to like $25 million for the House of Representatives. I don't know how much it was for the Senate, but that basically comes out to like a $57,000 raise for each and every member of Congress. I think that's how the math works out. And it's like, well, why do they get a $57,000 raise, which is basically like $1,000, a little over $1,000 extra a week, for doing nothing? Like, they've literally just sat there and argued with each other about how we're going to fix this. So here's the thing, all right? Things aren't bad yet, but if something doesn't happen soon, things are about to get a lot worse. All right. You also have to look at like the reason why welfare and all these systems like Social Security and all of that, these things that people fight against, and these people, always are saying like, well, the government shouldn't interfere and the government shouldn't give out handouts. All of these things started because of the Great Depression. All right. The Great Depression, we had the same mindset. It's like, keep the government out of it. And that basically was not working. in this thing with the Great Depression, because it was like people were just getting poorer and poorer and poorer, and it was getting to the point where people were building tent cities, and we were basically fighting each other, and it was just a whole bunch. It was a massive amount of chaos and confusion that was going on, and it was all because the government sat back and decided to do nothing, because up until that point the government had a hands-off approach to the economy. The Depression basically taught us that the government can't always have a hands-off approach to the economy. And I think that this is the same thing. Like, the government cannot afford to have a hands-off approach to the economy, because if they continue to go in this thing of like, well, we don't want to give away all this money because, it's gonna dilute the American dollar, or it's going to make us look like a socialist country, or whatever weird ideology people are holding on to, like, something has to be done. Because the reality of the matter is, if people can't pay their bills and tens of millions of people go homeless in the year 2021, it's going to be a lot of civil unrest. It's going to be raises in crime. And eventually, you're not going to have an America to be Congress over. All right? Our Congress is garbage. They are garbage. And I wish there was something in the Constitution where we as the American people could actually vote on some sort of like a clean sweep and just vote them all out. Have like an emergency vote them all out, and vote all new Congress people in. I think that there is something where Congress has gotten very comfortable. They know that their job security is not on the line, and they know that their financial security is not on the line, right? We have a lot of older people that are established. They have millions of dollars, and on top of having millions of dollars, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on top of that. And it seems like all they do is really just work on their next campaign. And that's not right. That's not fair that, they are getting to be able to vote and decide on, people's livelihoods without, any sort of repercussion. Like, it doesn't matter if we're happy with their decisions or not happy with their decisions. They're just going to go ahead and go about their normal everyday lives and, pretend to care. And it's just not right. I also seen, it wasn't a meme, but it was actually a lady that was explaining all of this to like, it was a congressional COVID committee or whatever, like what it's like to be poor. And she was explaining that, like, there are certain people that they actually have to stop working in order to just qualify for Medicaid or food stamps or something like that, so that their families can eat. And then when they stop working, they can't pay their bills because they're in this weird little area where the government decides, oh, well, you make too much, so you don't qualify for food stamps. You make too much, so you don't qualify for Medicaid. And I think a lot of people are kind of playing this game of like, I want to be able to work. I want to work, but I'm not incentivized to work, because it's like the way the government is set up is like I can't get help unless, I decide to drop my income below $40,000. But if I drop my income below $40,000, then I can't pay my bills. But if I put it above $40,000, then my kids can't eat. That's not right. That's not right. And I don't know what needs to be done to fix this. I'm not one of those people that's just like, oh, well, we should revolt, right? But I don't see any other solutions here. Like, everybody's, kind of joking about, oh, well, there's going to be a civil war and all that. I don't think that that's necessarily too far out of the, I don't think that that's too far out of the realm of possibility, right? I'm not saying it's 100% certain or 50% certain, but there is a small chance that this could go completely left, and people are going to be desperate. They're going to start getting evicted out of their houses, and it's just going to be like, we're going to be in tent cities, and all these people, is going to be tens of millions of people in tent cities, while all the people who are, is basically going to be a thing of haves and have-nots, right? And then what happens when you have a haves and haves not situation? It's always chaos. It's always pandemonium. And then, yes, we are going to be in the state of martial law, but how can you declare martial law when people don't have homes to go to? How can you declare a curfew and it's like, well, what curfew? Like, I don't have a home. I don't have a place to stay. Me and my kids, we stay in their car. Not me personally, but like people are saying, like when it gets to that point. And so I don't know. I don't know. I know one thing is that, our Congress is not doing everything in the best interest of the American people. That much I am sure of. The other thing that I am sure of is that something needs to change in the system. Something needs to change in the system. I love America. I served this country. I fought for the Constitution of the United States. But something's got to give. Something has got to give. And I think that $2,000 is a small amount to ask for a show of good faith. Like, hey, we actually give a crap. So I guess that's about that. That's pretty much what I had to say on that. If there was more, I'll probably think of it later and be like, dang, I should have put that in the video. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening to me rant for like 15 minutes. And hopefully there's something that breaks through soon, because it's like it's not going to look good for 2021 if we can't get this economy back going again. And it's like, how do you here's one thing: how do you put billions of dollars into the airline industry and there's nobody that can afford to buy plane tickets, right? You have these rent moratoriums where they're just saying, oh well, there no evictions until January. Well, in January, there's going to be tens of millions of people facing eviction court, and the dates are already lined up. So it's just going to be massive amounts of people in eviction court. This is going to lead to a lot of things. And a lot of these people, they say I believe the average right now of people that owe rent, this isn't including like foreclosures and all that type of stuff, just the average amount of people that owe back rent is like $5,500. They're saying that it's going to take $70 billion to properly rescue people that owe rent. Like, that's ridiculous. But they want to kind of piecemeal this bill together. And by the way, the total bill was $900 billion. How in $900 billion? And I know there are a lot of people, a lot of conservatives especially, that will argue, well, it's not just for the people. It should be just for the people, right? It should be for the people and the small businesses. Forget the airline industry, forget the cruise industry, forget like, I mean, yeah, like give some money to the schools, like give some money to the local governments. But if the state and local governments aren't going to manage this properly, then just give the people the money. All right. I identify as like a center, right of center type of guy, right? Like, I believe in God and country, and I believe in limited government and all of that type of thing. But this is a point where the government needs to step in. This is a point where the federal government needs to step in, and I am a firm believer in Keynesian economics. All right, if you give the people the money, then according to capitalism and supply and demand, the people will decide where that money goes. All right. It'd be better to just take that $900 billion and just spread it out equally among all the American people. I think that comes out to what, like $2,700 per person. And then let the people decide. Like, we might just be able to stimulate the economy just off the fact that, like, all right, our bills are paid, and now we're going to go off and, we're going to shop or whatever. And then, all that money basically goes back to the big corporations anyway. So, like, I don't understand why it's like, oh, well, we want to make sure certain corporations and certain industries make it and other industries don't, right? We want to make sure that, these big conglomerates get the money that they need to survive while, the American people suffer. That's not the right way to go about it. But anyway, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. I have some announcements coming up for January, because I got some big things planned for my life in January and for this channel in January. So thank you all once again for watching. God bless you and have a good night. And Merry Christmas.